So, plant-based lifestyle. What does that mean? Is it expensive? Is it hard? What are some of the challenges? Um, what is the difference between vegan and plant-based? Let's get into it. Let's just get straight into it. This is not a video to try to say you should be plant-based, because everybody should be plant-based and that's how it is. If you have a lifestyle that works for you, then that is great. But if this is something you're curious about, that's what this video is for. So I remember in high school, in fifth ed, we watched a documentary and it was called What the Health. Now, I remember in high school watching this documentary and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's cool. But then I fell asleep in class. And I remember really trying to watch it, like, oh my gosh, it's interesting. But I always fell asleep in that class, like always. That just shows you what type of high school student I was. But the documentary was What the Health. And so in 2017, I was in college and I decided to watch it again. And so that time, a lot of things really stood out to me because I'm like, just to see like the source of where these things that we are consuming comes from, it was like gross. I'm like, oh my gosh. But that wasn't really it for me. Like, that didn't do it for me. What I will say is, if you haven't watched What the Health and other like health documentaries, do that. Watch it and then rewatch it. It points that really like stuck out to me. It's not necessarily animal-based products that are the problem. It's the what they do to them. So I think that he said over 250 chemicals slash drugs are injected into certain animals. So if they're getting that and then we're eating it, then what does that do to us? So that was kind of my thing. So I watched another documentary and I can't think of the name of it. I'm just gonna put it up somewhere. And plus don't think that I'm just going off of these documentaries. It was really seeing that really like struck it for me, like struck something in my brain where I'm like, yo, what? It was another documentary that said that dairy was linked to acne and inflammation in your skin. So I was like, maybe I should try it, because for me, one of the things that like I was trying to work on was my acne. Like back then, it was a really big problem for me. Like I was just like, no, I don't want to have to deal with this. Like, I want fairly clear skin. I don't want to be perfect. I want just looks. Give me a little something. So once they said that, because I was just like Googling different things, like researching everything for acne. And I've always been into that. Like, I've always been into like, let me sit down and figure out what I can do. Like, what is the problem and what can I do about it? And so that was the route I took. Like, I was just like, let me just try it for a month. So at this point, I'm in college and we meet probably like the end of 2016, maybe the beginning of 2017, somewhere around there. Because I remember I really didn't eat red meat that much, and I had a steak one time. And when I tell you, it felt like I was supposed to like I was just like, this is it. I'm about to die. I don't know what happened, but it was just abdominal pain, really bad, just a whole bunch of things. Like instantly after I ate the steak. So that was the last time eating red meat ever. And then I watched a documentary about dairy maybe causing inflammation, and I did my own research, and it was saying like, yeah, from cow's milk, like you can, it's pus basically. So I was like, what? I'm just like the next person, okay? I'm like, I'm not about to, like, everything I eat has dairy. Like, what? So that was one of the things I'm like, nah. Mm-mm. And I probably had the same thought like a couple of years ago where I was like, nah. Um, Cereal, I eat cereal every day. I love cereal. Like, that's my favorite meal, even though it's not a meal. Cereal, macaroni and cheese, pizza. Like, I'm just like, nah. Ice cream, that has dairy. But then I was just like, you know what, just try it. Just try it for a month. That's all you gotta do. But you just see where you go from there. Like, I was just doing it for a month, and then next thing you know, that month had passed, and it was on to next month, and I was just like, well, I feel fine. So I was really starting to see some of those benefits of like just eliminating one thing, dairy. My joints felt better. My acne did start clearing up. Like, I wasn't, it was some scarring that I had, right? Because you always get acne scarring after acne. And after that inflammation occurs. But it was occurring less. Like, my acne was occurring less. And I'm like, whoa, like, this is real. This is actually legit. Like, so I started feeling better. And actually, instead of me just saying, okay, well, that's it, I just kept going. And I had never, like, craved dairy after that. Like, it wasn't like, it never occurred to me that I was lacking something. Like, I never had that thought of like, oh, I'm missing out. Like, I feel miserable. No, I just never really even thought about it because, to be honest, growing up, I really didn't have a good relationship with food. When I was starting to like transition into this like lifestyle, it was more exciting for me. It was more like I had the opportunity to try different things. So at this point, it's probably, I would say still 2017. Still 2017 at this point. I'm still in college, living on campus with the meal plan. So at that point, I'm like trying to figure out, I was just putting anything together. I was just putting meals together. It was kind of annoying for me to have to like explain to people like, no, I just don't, like, you go ahead and do what you're doing. Like, I'm not offended. It doesn't bother me. I don't know why it would bother me. It doesn't. But that's not what I'm doing right now. So that was a big thing too. And I had stopped eating dairy, but then I was like, I found out that eggs aren't dairy. So I was like, well, maybe I can still eat eggs. And so that meant I was still eating chicken. And then I was like dibble dabbling, seeing what type of eggs. And I really didn't want to be a vegan. Like, it was never a part of my plan to be a vegan. Not that it had to be a part of the plan, but it was never like this type of thing where it's like, I want to be vegan one day. No, never. Never occurred to me. But so I was like, you basically vegan. You might as well just be vegan. You might as well just stop eating chicken. You might as well stop eating eggs and be vegan. And so I seen something else that basically said that chicken, they put more sodium in chicken than they do other meats because it's, I don't know why, but they do. So I just was like, well, let me see. Everything was just like, okay, well, let me try it. So I stopped eating chicken and that was fine. I stopped eating eggs, and I really stopped eating eggs because it just wasn't. And the most important thing that you can do is to pay attention to what your body is telling you. So if you know how you eat something and then you like, I need a nap, or you eat something and you can barely like even focus on something else. Like it's this, whether you have brain fog or indigestion and digestive problems like cramps and all of this after you eat, pay attention to what type of foods are giving you that feeling after you eat them. So eggs was like that. So I'm like, boom, eggs. So at this point, I'm like, well, I guess I'm vegan now. Like, I guess that's what this is. And then I think that's when it was a change for me, because now it's like, well, I gotta figure out what I can eat as a vegan. So that's when I'm like realizing how much stuff is vegan. So I'm like, Oreos are vegan, Twizzlers are vegan. If I go to the a fast food place and get some French fries, that's vegan. That's something I can just like snack on. So it's like all of these things that is building up that clicked to me like, sure, none of that is healthy. Like, what are you doing? And so it got to a point where I'm still like eating all this stuff, eating just whatever, burgers, like vegan burgers, vegan chili cheese fries, and all this stuff because it's vegan. I was almost feeling like worse off than what I started. So I had brain fog. I could not concentrate, like, or if it was somebody like talking to me, like I couldn't concentrate on what they were trying to say. Like I couldn't concentrate, and I couldn't even hold a thought for too long. So I had brain fog. I was fatigued, like physically fatigued and mentally fatigued. And when I woke up, I needed a nap, like no energy. And so I realized like all of these things are not helping you. And I was just like, you know what? Don't call me no vegan, because and it's not a problem with being a vegan. There's nothing wrong with that, but it changed the way that I was going about things, right? So I went from doing this to try to help myself, and I really lost track of that. I was traveling different places, like where the vegan food at, get it here. Like that was that was the situation. So it had to be, maybe that was like for like a year, or like, people are like, okay, well, what do you eat? And I'm like, well, I just had like this breakfast sandwich thingy for breakfast and a bottle. Like, really, it wasn't nothing I could share. It wasn't any information I could share. Like, I just had some French fries for dinner and I went to sleep. Like, so to break it down, the difference between a plant-based diet and a vegan diet is that vegan, is no animal product, is no animal-based product. So no meat, no dairy, which is cheese, milk, no eggs, no chickens, no fish, nothing that's an animal, nothing that was ever alive. And then it's different types of vegans, but I won't get into that. And that's what it is. So vegans, under that title, you can eat processed foods. You can eat basically whatever you want as long as it never came from an animal, basically. Plant-based diet is you're eating whole foods, things that come from, not saying that vegans don't, But the focus with the plant-based diet is plants. So you're making sure that you're getting enough grains, you're getting enough vegetables, legumes, and beans, and just whatever is from the earth. And that is your focus. Now, a lot of people on a plant based diet, they may eat something like, I know a lot of plant based people who eat honey. Most vegans don't. Or who eat salmon from here and there, because the focus is plants. It's not strictly plants. Some plant-based people do eat eggs. So it's just that the focus is you're getting all the nutrients that you need from the earth. That's really it, plain and simple. And that's kind of where I'm at now. So I realized that I needed to get back to what was the whole purpose. So to get into some of the benefits, which I have yet to talk about, I've been talking this whole time, the benefits for me. So like I mentioned before, it was mental clarity. I was actually able to focus better, to finish what I was thinking. Like, it's ridiculous that I wasn't able to do that. My body odor, I was sweating less, not eating dairy. Your body like kind of excretes those things through sweat. But it's not doing that if you're not eating it, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. That was kind of the thing for me. I noticed my skin all over, especially my face, like I wasn't dealing with, I never really had like cystic acne, but I did have like sore pimples that would get really sore and just really hurt. So I really haven't had that in a while, like some real painful pimples. I haven't had any of that. Or energy in general, like I literally felt like just a boost. And it was always like a jump in energy whenever I like ate. And that's how it's supposed to be. When you eat, you're supposed to be able to like, not saying you shouldn't enjoy your food and you should just be eating plants that taste horrible just so you can get energy. No, you should enjoy your food, but then you also should get that boost of energy, because the energy that you get is from your food. You shouldn't feel all sluggish like how I was feeling before, and just feeling like irritated. I haven't felt like, oh, this is the one. So my period changed. I was less period cramps. I wasn't, not gonna say I don't experience cramps. It just was significantly lessened. And I'm gonna make a whole nother video about period solutions, because it's this whole routine I got now. So I'm gonna put y'all on to that. Less bloating and fatigue. So I used to get bloated after every meal, and it's when I was vegan too, which just sounds stupid saying that, but when I was just eating whatever, like on a vegan diet, I just would get so bloated. And then it was me also being able to fall in love with food and fall in love with cooking for myself. It was a whole totally different experience that I had never experienced before, because like I said, I never really cared. I'm just like, well, I need to eat to stay alive. That was how I was like, let me just find something to eat real quick last minute. So just this whole experience that I never, experienced before. Like being able to try different recipes. Really enjoy like cooking at home. Cooking at home, even if it's something simple, like the fact that you made it and the fact that you know all the ingredients that you just put into this meal. That is just like, it will, like, if y'all never experienced that, try it, and you're gonna get excited because it's like, I did that. Even if you feel like you're not the type of person that cook at home, you don't know what to do, like, learning how to prepare meals for yourself is not like you have to, like, somebody's telling you, oh, you gotta open a restaurant, like you gotta cook for all these people. No, you're cooking for yourself. You know what you like. You know what flavors you like. You know what spices you like. And you don't, even if you think you don't, you do. Because just think about all the restaurants that you always go to. Not saying you're going to know what they use, but you go to those same places because you know what you like. So just make it at home. And it's just it's a different journey. So y'all, let me know if there's like any questions that y'all might have. Check out my grocery haul video to see. This is just kind of what I went and picked up at the grocery store that particular day. So go watch that. Subscribe, y'all. It really is self-love to be able to give your body, yourself, the nourishment that it needs. It's self-love. So don't take that for granted now. Don't take it for granted. Thank y'all for being here. I'm sorry if I missed something, but if I missed something, I'm very, very, very sorry. Peace. I'm gonna wait for my dog to shut up. He's so bad, y'all. He's so bad. If anybody want a dog, y'all can have him. No, I'm just kidding. Y'all can't have him. I love him. Subscribe. You would not believe that I just sat here and recorded 20 minutes of me talking, and I had green juice on my nose. So that's great.